Hi everyone, and welcome to English 3153 Technical Writing. My name is Cassandra Woody, but I go by Casey, as you can see in this introductory slide. So feel free to refer to me as Casey or call me Casey when you're emailing or calling. I look forward to our time together in the next 8 weeks, working on various documents for technical writing. To let you know a little bit about myself, I have a degree in composition and rhetoric, and so my focus is writing and rhetoric. The focus of this class is going to be helping everyone to effectively communicate different technical writing, obviously, and to keep rhetoric in mind as we do that. Rhetoric is all about audience and audience awareness and the way that we effectively use our ethos, pathos, and logos to speak to the different audiences that we are working to address. So, as we work through our various assignments, these are going to be a focus throughout the course. And speaking of the course, let's go through a little overview. First, what you need. So the reading materials that you're going to need for this semester, if you haven't already purchased them yet, you need to go ahead and do that, are Steve Krug's Rocket Surgery Made Easy. We're also going to have selected chapters from Paul Anderson. You will see those chapters as we go, and you can also find them in your syllabus. And you'll also have other readings that will be available online. So I either already have PDFs of those, which are linked to the various days as you work through the modules, that you'll just be able to click on and pull those up, or I'll provide links if they're online readings. If at any time you can't access those readings, please let me know immediately and I will be sure that I get them to you. They should all be working and ready to go, but you never know, so please do let me know if there's any problems with that. Now, things you need to know. First of all, technical writing is about the communication of technical information to lay audiences and alternatively technical audiences. So what does that mean? What that means is technical writing is about taking the knowledge and expertise that we have in our field that's very specific to us and effectively communicating it to people outside our field. So the knowledge that we have inside our field can make sense to people that don't have the same amount of knowledge or training that we do. This is really important because the knowledge and information that we're generating inside our specialties has to go out into the public. Technical writing and technical writers are a way to do that. This course is a reading, production, and discussion course, and you're going to be doing all three. So this isn't just about the production, it's about the readings that we're going to do, it's about discussions, it's about engaging with one another, it's about pushing ideas. So I want you to realize that all three of these are major components of this class. Again, you can look back to your syllabus to see how grades are distributed. You'll notice that 10% is going to come from homework and 10% from participation. Your participation is going to come from your discussion boards, which is the next bullet. So discussion board participation is required in this course. If you do not participate on the discussion boards, you will automatically lose 10% of your overall grade. This means that you start out at a 90, so unless you make a 100% on every single assignment outside of that, a B is the highest you can get. It is not hard to do discussion board posts or to get your participation, so please be sure that you're doing that. And finally, all the documents created in this course hold the potential to be writing samples in the future, so I want you to treat them as such. So every single one of the documents that we're going to produce are going to be documents that you are likely going to produce in your field. And so I want you to take this as an opportunity to create documents that you can use when you go out on the market. Also, our very first assignment is going to be an application packet in which you're going to produce cover letters and resumes. So I would invite you and encourage you to use this as a way to produce a resume that you can take out and use for applications. Many of you are seniors, so you're about to go out on the market. You're probably already there. This might be an opportunity to revise and tweak a resume that you already have. So some common errors that I want to go over as we begin that can create unnecessary obstacles in the course are first, not logging on to Canvas daily. So this is an online course and many of you are taking it because you're out of town now or you have a busy summer and you need to get it in. This is still a course and it's still serious and it still needs your attention, just like a face-to-face course does. Rather than meeting face-to-face daily, we are logging on to Canvas daily. So I need you to be sure that you're logging on daily. I have each of your units and each week set out so you can see exactly what's expected of you each week. You also have a thorough syllabus. The syllabus may change slightly, but it does tell you when major assignments, discussion boards, and quizzes are going to be due. You need to be sure that you're checking that and you're logging in, that you're participating in the discussion boards. I do not accept late work for the course, and every single discussion board, quiz, and assignment is closed down at the end of the day that it's due, so you need to be sure that you're logging on and you're doing those. If for some reason you have an emergency or you know that there's something going on that you will not be able to log in for some reason, you need to contact me within 48 hours in advance so we can work something out. Not reading the assignment sheets is another common error. So each of the documents we're going to be producing have several elements to them. It's very important that you read your assignment sheets thoroughly and consistently and constantly as you are creating these documents to make sure that you are including all of the elements required. I've also included a rubric in each of the assignment sheets so you can see exactly what you're graded on. There's no reason not to hit every single one of the main elements because it's all laid out in the assignment sheet. And if ever you have a question about the assignment sheets or what's being asked of you, please feel free to send me an email, schedule a phone call, or to post it to one of our unit discussion board questions, and I will address that. Another common error is not turning assignments in on time. Because I do not accept late work, it's very important that you get things done on time. I know on an online course it can be easy to forget or to let an assignment date slide by. You might want to look at the syllabus and put the different assignments in your calendar, set an alarm just to be sure. This is a way that your grade can slip for no reason at all. So be sure that you're keeping up with your daily work. And finally, a common error is not asking questions, which goes back to a point that I made when talking about the assignment sheets. If ever you have questions about assignment, whether it's a major one or a minor one, please ask. I'm going to create discussion boards for general questions for each one of our units, but beyond those discussion boards, you are welcome to send me an email or set up a phone call to ask me. I do not want you to struggle in silence, so please be sure to ask questions. Now on to the assignments. So we're going to be doing 4 major assignments in the class. The first will be the application packet, which will include resume, cover letters, and not on this is also a mock thank you letter to a follow-up to an interview. You're also going to be doing an instruction set, a popular translation, and a usability test proposal. So these are your 4 main assignments, but you'll also have your continuing assignments, which will be participating in discussion boards, taking quizzes online, and completing homework assignments. So these top 4, though, within them, you can see the breakdown on your syllabus, but those equal 80% altogether, and it's weighted a bit differently. It's not evenly distributed, so be sure that you check your syllabus for that. But then 10% is also going to come from participation, which will come from discussion boards, and then 10% from homework assignments, which include quizzes and then various assignments. Be sure that you are looking at each of the elements and how they're weighted within the assignments as well. Those will be on your assignment sheets, which we'll talk more about as the course goes on and we actually dig into the assignments. Now, I want to talk about user-centered communication quickly because this is a emphasis of this entire class. So user-centeredness is going to be key to every document that we produce in this class, and it needs to be something that you keep in the center of all of your writing as we create these documents. So Donald Norman, the author of The Design of Everyday Things, has said that most accidents are attributed to human error, but in almost all cases, the human error was the direct result of poor design. In other words, Norman is saying that it's not the user's fault if they are not able to effectively use something. It is the designer's fault. What this means is that when a product, a website, anything was being designed, that the user wasn't kept at the center. Why this happens is that often as designers are creating websites or products, they're thinking within their own field and of their own expertise and not thinking of the lay public, which we discussed earlier is our focus as we create documents, the way that we effectively communicate or address the lay public. So what we need to do as we produce everything that we produce in this class is we're going to be thinking of the user, of the reader, of the people outside our field that don't possess the same knowledge that we do. Some examples of the kinds of questions that we might ask in the field about the lay public and the way that we're either addressing a problem or creating documents or creating some kind of text to address issues within the larger public is within petroleum engineering, what does the public know about fracking and earthquakes? So as we think about producing text or addressing any kind of problems, we need to think about not what the field knows about it, but what the public knows about it. And as we think about that, this is the way that we craft our text and craft anything that we want to put out into the public to address an issue, a problem, or to produce information. Another is why local Spanish-speaking families struggle to understand storm precautions. So this is a problem that has been addressed within Oklahoma and Texas in particular. And when we ask the questions why local Spanish-speaking families are having issues understanding storm precautions, that takes on the view that it is not the Spanish-speaking families that need to change, but it is the design that need to change, and that this question has to be asked in order to make a better product that reaches all of the users, not just some. And finally, a question that is user-centered is why has the anti-vaccination movement thrived? So the director of technical writing actually focuses a lot on the anti-vaxxers and how this movement has happened and what perpetuates it and why it is that science can't reach them. So rather than saying there's a problem with the anti-vaxxers, a user-centered approach asks why is it thriving, in what ways is the scientific community not speaking to them, and how is it neglecting whatever it is that their values are and not able to make that connection. So these are just some examples of the way we ask user-centered questions as we create user-centered communication. Now I'm going to show you an example of poor design that was not user-centered. So these are prescription bottles, and we all know what these look like. We can see lots of problems, especially if we step back and think about the users of prescriptions and those who are commonly using them most often. So there's inconsistent labeling, first of all. As you can see, every pharmacy uses a different kind of prescription, so you never know where to look for your dosage or the directions or the name of the patient. The branding isn't really clear. Or I'm sorry, the branding is the clearest. So we see their brand most, and that is what's least important. I can see that that's Target, and then that's Walgreens. I can see the pharmacy the clearest, and that's the least important information on it. That is not user-centered. That is focused on advertising a certain pharmacy, which does not help a user. There's confusing numbers that are hard to tell what it goes to and what it means. Also the curved shape, it's a small cylinder bottle. Often people that are taking medications, especially several medications and daily, are the elderly. They might be people that have just had a surgery and are weak. They are people that this design is not going to help because it's a tiny cylinder and it's not easy to grip. There's also tiny type. So anyone who needs glasses to see or doesn't see well is going to have trouble reading both the prescription name, the dosage, the directions. These are very important pieces of information. Also, there's pill-off instructions. This makes it hard. Again, you have to be nimble to do that if you've just had a surgery, if you are older, if you have arthritis. For all these reasons, these pill-off instructions that are over the other instructions are going to be difficult to get to. So a designer actually, or a woman actually recognized all these problems, and she recognized it when her grandmother accidentally took one of her grandfather's pills. And what she did to respond to that is created a new design for prescription bottles. Now these are at Target, and you'll notice, first of all, that the type, amoxicillin, is one of the biggest text on it, so you can see exactly what it is and the dosage. These rings also, these go on bottles, and they are, everyone who has a prescription has a specific color in a house. So if there are 5 people in a house, one person will get purple, one will get green, one will get yellow, one blue, one red, one orange. So there's no guessing whose prescription it is. In the instance of the designer who actually did this, whose name was Deborah Adler, her grandmother accidentally took her grandfather's. Had her grandfather been a yellow and she been an orange, she would have been able to tell immediately that that wasn't her pill bottle. And so what Adler did in this instance is she looked at all the ways that these pill bottles, these prescription bottles, were not helping the users, and she changed it. She made an easy grip design, as you see here. The lid is larger, so it's easier to grip. There's the color-coded ring that tells everyone in the family whose prescription goes to who. The text is larger. It's organized in a way that makes more sense. It's set in a hierarchy. So here is the name of the medication. Here is the directions, and there's a hierarchy. So you see an indented text there that explains in its own line or vector how to take it. So basically, using user-centered focus, Adler created a whole new pill bottle that addresses several problems that hadn't been addressed for ages. Now we're going to go on to something I mentioned before, which is rhetoric. So how do we know what an audience knows? This all comes back to rhetoric and the economics of attention. So we think about what our audience knows to appeal to them and what they need to know, the information that we'll give them. As we are presenting any kind of argument which everything that we put out into the public is some kind of an argument, right? It's saying that you need to pay attention to this, this matters to you. Ethos, pathos, and logos are all going to be critical. If you've had 1113 and 1213, composition 1 and composition 2, you've likely heard of these. So as we're molding our documents, we're going to be thinking about ethos, which is our authority as an author. How are we establishing our authority as an author? How are we letting whoever our reader is, whoever our audience know that we have the authority and we're trustworthy as we say what we say? There's the pathos, which is always critical, the pathetic appeals, speaking to people's emotions, moving beyond just how we're established and have authority to speak, and the logos, which is the logic, the facts, and talking to something other than that, which is just as important. The pathetic appeals. We can think of, when we think about vaccinations, often the pathos that's involved in that is we talk about children, right? Keeping our children safe, keeping our children healthy. That's employing pathos within an argument. And then there's the logos, which I just mentioned. Those are the facts that we use. How are we using facts? Where do we get our facts? How reliable are our facts? And as we make decisions on all of these, we have to have audience awareness in that. What kind of facts are going to appeal most to our audience? Just using facts isn't being reader-centered or effectively using rhetoric. We have to think of facts that mean something to our audience. So rhetoric is also a tool to gauge context and audience values. So we think about, again, going back to that, what does our audience know and what do they need to know? What's going to be important to them? What are their values and how can we speak to them? All of our pathos and logos need to speak back to values because these are what guide the decisions that people make. And finally, I want everyone to take some time to watch this video on redesigning government so you can listen to someone talk more about what it means to think of the user and to think of the audience and to think about that quote from Norman about how when users aren't using something the right way, it isn't the user's fault, it is a fault in design. Because this is going to be key to everything we do. So I provided this link so you all can get to it, and I want you to take some time to watch that so you can start to situate yourself in what we're doing more. Thanks so much. I look forward to the next 8 weeks with you all. I look forward to getting to know you and to see your very smart discussions. And please, if you have any questions throughout the semester, do let me know.